America's best days are yet to come. That's because conservatives like you know and live the values our great country was built on. The Heritage Foundation exists to make sure your voice is heard in the D.C. swamp each day, shining the light on a bright future. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values and won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mike Lawler.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Happy Veterans Day. Those who've enlisted, those who have volunteered many years ago, those drafted into the military, we cannot thank you enough. You're a breed apart, and a shrinking breed, I'm afraid. But thank you for all you've done, all your sacrifices. Our country owes you a great debt. I fear some of our country don't care, but those who believe in our country absolutely do, like the people in this audience. I want to have a conversation with you. It's not on any particular event taking place today, or even this week. But it's one of those occasions where I feel we need to have a national conversation, which we do hear from time to time. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I write a lot about our history, ancient history, about freedom and tyranny and totalitarianism, principles that undergird our society, the attacks on these principles. And so it's with almost 25 years of experience behind this microphone and writing these books and communicating with you every way I can think of, that I come to you with a very heavy heart. We've talked about what's going on in this country at some great length. I wrote a book called On Power. Before that, I wrote a book called The Democrat Party Hates America. And before that, I wrote a book called American Marxism. And unfortunately, this has all come to pass now. What we have within the Democrat Party is not just a battle between two entities. You're watching the Democrat Party being eaten by a bacteria, by a cancer, by a force with an ideology that is foreign to our nation's ideology and belief system, that I've been talking about for some time. That is Marxism and Islamism. And what set the stage for this Marxism and Islamism is the Democrat Party. Its immigration practices, of which there were none. Its constant effort to destroy our founding principles. DEI, CRT, the 1619 Project. The constant, relentless rhetoric and propaganda against our institutions. And they have weakened our institutions, intentionally so. They have used our education system to advance ideologies. They have used our education system to empower themselves. They're power hungry, and they seek to centralize power. But they have unleashed forces now that they cannot control. Forces that are devouring that party. Forces that are devouring their leadership. Forces that are devouring their rank and file and replacing the rank and file. The Democrat Party's base is now the Democrat Party's center, its core. You can see it in front of your eyes how quickly it's transitioning. And these forces that are now devouring the Democrat Party from within have been unleashed by the Democrat Party itself, hate the country. And they are using language and slogans and propaganda and demagoguery to package their hate for the country, the hate for our founding, the hate for our history, the hate for our belief system, as righteous, as liberating, as equality, as affordability. But that doesn't change who they are. They mask it, they camouflage it, but they're out to take us down. And this is spreading, and spreading fast. Most of the media ignore it. Ignore it. Might hurt ratings. Might chase away sponsors. Some of the media participate in it to give platforms to the Marxists and the Islamists and so forth. That's what they do. But it's worse than that. As I've studied Germany, as I've studied Spain, as I've studied other countries in the world, our own country, but mostly them, how they have civil wars. Some of them are violent, physical civil wars. Some of them are not. There's a reaction that is developed in response to what I just described on the right. I'm not talking about constitutional conservatives. I'm talking about on the right, the radical right. And that reaction is to DEI. That reaction is to unbounded immigration. That reaction is to high taxes that destroy productivity. And a mentality that is spreading and spreading very fast. Very fast. Through the help of podcasters, so-called influencers who are grifting off this, are becoming infamous off of this. That can best be described as fascistic. Unfortunately, the world has been here before, but our country is not. We have rejected Marxism and fascism, totalitarianism. But now with a fairly corrupt media and podcasters and so-called influencers that become extraordinarily famous and wealthy by promoting one or the other, or the battle between the two, we now have voices that reach into cars and homes and the public square, promoting this stuff. Promoting it. We have a younger generation on the right that is split evenly, or worse, on the support of this country. We have a younger generation on the left that hates the country. This is the truth. On the left, they blame certain racial groups, certain ethnic groups, certain religious groups, like Jews, like Christians, for all their problems. That's the Marxist left. On the fascistic right, they blame the Jews, they blame Christians who don't embrace a kind of bigotry, and they attack our institutions too. So the Marxists want to destroy our institutions, and the fascists want to destroy our institutions too. The Marxists because they want to replace it, the fascists because their argument is they don't serve the purpose that they support. And then we have the grifters who give voice to one or the other and promote them. But what is happening, and I've written about this extensively, we've talked about it from time to time, but I really want to crystallize and focus on this. So what is happening now is that support for our nation's founding and founders, support for our Declaration and our Constitution is dwindling. It's even starting to collapse, with the Marxists wanting to replace it and the fascists claiming they don't work right, so we need to replace it as well. It's almost as if rational, intelligent, substantive debate and discussion are irrelevant, are dismissed. On the left, they don't want to hear about it. So they destroy monuments, they destroy our history, they rewrite it, they condemn our founders, they condemn the West, they attack the West. And the fascistic right, they attack these institutions as having failed or promoting this counterculture. In many ways, they're right in that respect. And then you got to blame. You blame the Jews. You blame traditional conservatives. You blame the Constitution. You blame the founders. This is what's meant by this sort of a U spectrum ideologically that's taking place in our country. You see the overlay of the Marxist fascistic mindset, even though typically one wants nothing to do with the other. However, this is why you'll see a podcast or influencer on the fascistic right praise Mondami, almost out of jealousy. See, the Republican Party is not embracing the fascistic right. It's resisting it. Not enough, but it is. The Democrat Party is being devoured by the Marxist left because they wouldn't fight it. And now, rather than resist it, they're becoming it. They're becoming it. This really has nothing to do with Israel. It has nothing to do with Netanyahu. That war is effectively over. And yet, what's taking place in our country continues. It continues. You see the assassination of Charlie Kirk, for God's sakes. You see the brutal attack on Turning Point participants the other day by the Antifa types, by the left. They've been militarized. And in response, I fear you're going to see the same sort of thing happen with the fascistic right. I was told by a local police chief, I can't get too detailed because I don't want to reveal it to people who wish harm, that I needed to get security and I needed to get it right away. That they would like to know my whereabouts, but that in the end, I need to protect myself. We've been told that about our home and our family too. So when the Alex Joneses and the Megyn Kellys and the Tucker Carlsons and the Steve Bannons, when they attack me and my faith and my family, it has consequences. But I have more to say about the general state of events and environment in this country in a moment. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. What you're seeing are what Eric Hoffer called fanatics, true believers. You'll notice that none of these people argue for constitutionalism. They abandon that. They demand authoritarianism, totalitarianism. I should be deported. This is now a common refrain. I should be investigated. Because obviously, I'm an agent of Israel. I should be deported because I'm Jewish. It's not just with me. I'm just explaining what's taking place out there all around you. And we'll get into this even further. I'll be right back. We're coming upon the 250th birthday of the United States, and it has me thinking, what will America look like 250 years from now? My friends at the Heritage Foundation want to know what you think. What policies should America prioritize? What principles should carry us into the decades ahead? As America enters a new golden age, Heritage recognizes that this is the time to take stock and to be intentional about how we shape the future of America. And they can't do it without your input. So please go to heritage.org/LEVIN and let them know what you think is important. Without patriots like you stepping up and speaking up for what you believe in, America as we know it can't survive for another 250 years. Please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN. Take the survey on America's future future. This survey takes less than 10 minutes to complete, but it is critical for making sure that the America we pass on to future generations is an America we're proud of. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/Levin. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Mark Levin, radio's hell-raising intellectual. Call now, 877-381-3811.
You know, it's getting uglier and uglier out there. This platform I have comes with a huge responsibility. But unfortunately for many, whether they're podcasters or influencers or whatever they call themselves, they're utterly irresponsible. You know, ladies and gentlemen, back in May, or maybe it was early June, the President of the United States asked to meet with me. He wanted my opinion on something. He watched me on Life, Liberty, and Levin over the weekend. And I met with him. We met for a good period of time, and other people too. And no sooner did I leave that meeting that somebody leaked the fact of the meeting. And then Carlson posted some incoherent rant about I was unleashing World War III, and it developed into me, the Jew. I'm trying to bring the United States into World War III. Just all this horrible crap, lies. And what happened was a whole cabal formed around that. Bannon, Gates, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Alex Jones, Fuentes, Megyn Kelly, others. I said, I got to fight back. I got to push back. Good God, what the hell's going on there? Because I didn't really pay attention to podcasters, to be perfectly honest with you. Those people I just mentioned, I didn't pay attention to them at all. Period. But it was like locusts. And it was nonstop. And then I realized there's a problem here. First of all, the president needs to be able to meet with somebody and have a conversation with them at his initiation without these threats, efforts at intimidation, smears, and libels. And of course, my views are not secret. I have a microphone right here, a television camera, and so forth. But I said, wow, these people are thugs. Absolute thugs. No debate of serious ideas, just allegations and so forth. And of course, they want to debate now. Want to debate what? I'm not going to change my faith and ethnicity. I'm not going to debate it. I don't ask anybody to debate their faith and ethnicity. I don't attack somebody else's children. What, are we going to debate that? I want nothing to do with people like this. But as time goes on, and as their views are not the majority view of MAGA or America First or any rational person, they get increasingly angry, increasingly vile, increasingly nuts. And they use many of the tactics of the Marxist Islamist left, the Saul Alinsky tactics. Identify, target, personalize. And that's what they do. So you got to confront them on their level. I've tried to confront them as, substantively, but it doesn't work. And it's not just me. They've done and tried to do the same thing to other people. You can see it at the TPUSA events, where these gropers, they get in there and they make these outrageous statements, and this is why Charlie wanted nothing to do with them. Nothing. This is why they attack my family members. This is why they attack my faith. It's not just my faith. Many of you are Christian. They attack your faith too. They rewrite it and they twist it. It's Veterans Day. Tell me, which veterans are we celebrating? I assume ours, the greatest generation, right? Well, they attack them too. Maybe we're on the wrong side of World War II, because this is a totalitarian, tyrannical, fascistic mindset that is growing. That is growing. Just as the Mandami, Bernie Sanders, Marxist, Islamist mindset has now become perhaps the prominent force within the Democrat Party as it slowly devours it. I think like an anaconda, you know? It's like an anaconda. Strangles it, starts to swallow it. And I've written about it, and I've focused on it. But how can I possibly ignore the fascists and those of that mindset? How can I ignore that? I can't. I'm a constitutional conservative. That is my political belief system. I believe in the Judeo-Christian way of life, the values and so forth. That is my belief system. When they all come under vicious attack by people who claim to be in favor of making America great again or America first, somebody's got to point it out. And I'm pleased to say more and more people are now. And it's very important that we do. But it is a personal risk. There's no question about it. I've been told, don't go to the same place every day. Don't go the same route every day. I haven't even shared this with Mr. Producer. He's stunned, aren't you, Rich? Don't be predictable in your goings. Get security, more security. We, the local cops, can't protect you all the time. Shocking, don't you think? I'm calling out people who are sympathetic to Nazis. I'm calling out people who are sympathetic to Hamas. I'm calling out people who are Jew haters and Christian haters. I'm calling out people who are incredibly dangerous with the kind of ideology and thoughts they're promoting, particularly with younger people. Then I'm not going to stop. And even though I'm talking to some extent about me, it's not about me. It's about you. It's about you. You're caught in the middle. Red-blooded, patriotic Americans watching this, listening to this. Many of you are confounded by it. You're probably confused. People who you used to rely on and so forth. You see what's happened in New York City. And then we have political pundits and pollsters who tell us what's going on. They don't know what's going on at all. At all. This isn't about political pundits, and it's not about polls. In many ways, it's not about affordability. Affordability is being used by ideologues who create unavailability. They're very good at propaganda. They learned that from Lenin. They learned it from Mao. They learned it from Castro. And, of course, before them, the grandfather of them all, they learned it from Marx. The abuse of language is crucial. Absolutely crucial. The problem is, particularly among our youth, they're being inundated with this. Inundated with this. They don't watch as much TV. They don't listen to as much radio. They're listening online. They're in these dark rooms. They're as susceptible to these so-called podcasters. Not all podcasters are bad, obviously, but you know which ones I'm talking about. When you listen to some of these podcasters, whomever they are, ask yourself, why am I listening to them? As they prattle on and on about what? But they try to exploit young people, particularly young people from Republican and conservative households. They try to exploit them, poison them, indoctrinate them, just like the left, but in a different way and with a different focus. A different way and a different focus. And there's no denying that a lot of this is the failure of the so-called, what I've been calling for decades, the ruling class, that have failed to defend our country, to protect the people in the streets and so forth. That's true. But you would have thought with a President Trump that this kind of mindset would be dying down. And it's not. It's getting worse. And it's not because of him. It's in spite of him. It is people who are now trying to redefine MAGA, who are trying to redefine Make America First. It is people who really were not with Trump at the beginning and are not with him now. Look at how Marjorie Taylor Greene is conducting herself. Look at how Carlson's conducting himself. Fuentes. They don't have an allegiance to a cause other than themselves. And what it is that they're spewing is racism, bigotry, anti-Christianity, anti-Semitism, basically anti-Americanism, and they're trying to clothe it as pro-American. That's what they're doing. And people who support them are threatening. They issue veiled threats. They try and intimidate and silence. That's why Charlie Kirk was so important. He rejected this. And yet, it was working its way into his organization. People trying to take advantage of it and exploit it. When an organization becomes that big, it's tough to fight it. You do your best. But these people shouldn't be platformed. They shouldn't be treated as they're legitimate. Their ideas shouldn't be promoted and echoed, regurgitated. Not now, not ever. We now have people rooting against our country. The Marxist, Islamist left, and these, what I call, fascistic podcasters and influencers, and so they're rooting against our country. They're embracing leaders of the Marxist left, the Islamist terrorist regimes, Putin, Iran. It almost doesn't matter. Both of these elements are embracing fascistic or Marxist, however you want to call them, leaders of foreign countries. That's what they're doing. And they're relying on some of them, not all, money from these dictators. Look at the Mondani family. Look at some of the people who you used to trust. Maybe they're not receiving money directly. Maybe they're not receiving money at all. But some clearly are influenced by money flowing into this country. Some of them are just doing everything they can to make as much money they can off the back of this poison. They've expanded their platforms. And some corporations are giving them more opportunity to do it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Now, folks, I know when you turn on the radio or you're listening online or the podcast of this program, you're like, gee whiz, this is kind of depressing. Folks, it's not about depressing. It's not about happy times. It's about what's swirling around. So you don't wake up one day and say, what the hell happened to my country? I'm telling you what's happening right now. And I'm telling you to enlist you so that you can speak out with your family, with your friends. If you're sitting around in an airport and the topic comes up at Thanksgiving, and these things can be discussed in a very civil and thoughtful way, we need to enlist each other. We need tens of millions of us. If you have children or grandchildren, you need to talk to them. I mean, we're all responsible for what's taking place. We can't just hand over this responsibility to podcasters who claim to be influencers who are making tens of millions of dollars, tearing this country down and tearing it apart. We'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. We have a new word out there. The Democrats don't want to lose leverage by voting to open the government. In other words, they don't want to stop blackmailing Mr. and Mrs. America. I was at the airport today. Plane took off on time. I was at the airport Saturday. Plane was delayed by 4 hours. The Democrat Party has been, as I said, devoured, and you're watching it be more and more devoured and transitioning over to this Marxist Islamist party. They don't want things to work. They don't want you satisfied, even happy. They don't want it. Same with the fascistic right. They don't want it. They want young people angry, upset with life. Any setback or any opportunity that doesn't present itself or that they don't make good on. You can't have failure. If it's failure, it's the system. It's a failure. It's the Jews or the Christian Zionists. It's capitalism. It is what it is. Leverage. The Democrats want leverage to do what? Because they're power hungry. They want more power. They want more centralized government. They want more and more of the private sector to come under their power. So they can do what? Blackmail you some more. Because their policies don't work. Here's Chris Murphy. This guy is a bad, bad guy. He's a Democrat. He's from Connecticut. Used to be a fairly moderate state. Often elected Republicans, but here you go. He's on the PBS NewsHour yesterday. Cut 3, go.
Senator Kaine laid out his reasons for supporting the deal. He says it ends the pain that Americans are feeling. It gets a path to a health care vote. And he says previously there was no evidence Republicans would even talk about a health care vote without the government back open. Is he wrong?
Well, Tim and I just have a disagreement about this. I think we actually lose leverage in our fight for Americans.
We lose leverage in our fight for government, centralized government, unconstitutional government, you see. That's what they lose leverage. They're in the minority. They're blackmailing the majority. They're abusing the filibuster rule. That's what they were doing. Pure and simple. Using it a way that's not been used before. And so I've told you before, for the Democrat Party, when they lose elections, they claim that the Republicans don't have a mandate. And so they go to the unelected parts of government. When they win elections, they claim they have a mandate to fundamentally change our governing system. That's who they are, and that's what they do. We have Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat leader in the House, such as he is. He's making it clear that they will oppose the continuing resolution, that they want the planes not to fly, the military not to get paid, and so forth. Why? For the good of the people. The good of the people. Understand, this is a blackmail of Mr. and Mrs. America. This is a blackmail of you. That's what it's all about. Cut 2, go.
It's our expectation that the House will vote at some point tomorrow, and House Democrats will strongly oppose...
You know what I just realized, Mr. Producer? He sounds like Juan Williams. Doesn't he? And vice versa, of course. Go ahead.
Legislation that does not decisively address the Republican health care crisis. We want to reopen the government.
So it's now a Republican health care crisis. Understand, Obamacare, the so-called Affordable Care Act, the Unaffordable Care Act, is what they created. Understand that when Biden was in charge and they controlled the Congress, that they only extended these subsidies, massive subsidies, for 1 year. Now they wish they'd done it forever. Understand, they expanded the coverage to include more people and better benefits, even though the system was imploding on its own after 12 years of the Unaffordable Obamacare Act. So now they call it the Republican healthcare crisis. It's what I mean. This kind of sloganeering, propaganda, with the sole purpose to mislead and to manipulate, creates more and more people who just attack and attack and attack and then look for increasingly extreme ways in their own minds to explain these things. Go ahead.
Continue to stand by our hardworking federal employees and civil servants.
You're standing by them when you're shut. I mean, it's like Alice in Wonderland here, except it's Hakeem in Wonderland. President did an interview with Pat McAfee. He's actually quite good. On ESPN. I don't have time to watch it too much, but now and then. And here in part is what the president had to say. Cut 1, go.
So the House is going to vote, and I think they're going to vote positively. I think most people want to see it open. Only people that hate our country want to see it not open, because our country is doing so well, so we don't want to waste these times. These are precious times. You know, we have $17 trillion plus being invested in our country. That's many times more than any country has ever had. We don't want to be wasting time. So they tried to basically renegotiate the great big beautiful deal. They weren't able to get it. And now they said, let's close up our country and we'll see if we can get it. But again, getting it for people that came into our country illegally from prisons, from gangs, from mental institutions, from places that you don't want, and giving them $1.5 trillion in medical costs and things. You just can't do this. You can't do it, and it ruins it for everybody else. So they were not successful in renegotiation, and it looks like it's going to be opened up. But you're right. It's the House has to vote, and then, of course, I have to sign it.
So they would burn down, figuratively, the system for the people. Mm-hmm. And how do we respond to that? Oh, we have to defeat them. That's how you respond to it. You don't respond to it by blaming ethnic groups or religious groups for the hardships that people are facing. No, you don't. We have somebody named Representative Jack Oshlinkloss, who is said to be a moderate, if there is such a thing left, from Massachusetts, Democrat. He said this, cut 5, go.
He owns this economy and the anxiety that lives within it. At the same time, Democrats cannot simply continue to oppose Donald Trump without offering Americans an alternative agenda. And part of our alternative agenda needs to be a compelling way that we will lower healthcare prices. And that includes negotiating on the ACA. I'm perfectly open to negotiating on these enhanced subsidies, whether it's for higher earners, shaving off some of those subsidies, whether it is sunsetting it after 1 year with the agreement that we negotiate on different ways of getting people onto the exchanges through employer grants or Medicaid expansion.
Understand, his point is, and I've made the point, they expanded this during the pandemic, Obamacare, to include higher wage earners, not high, but higher, and gave them more benefits because it was backdoor creeping national health care that they were trying to create through Obamacare. Well, it's collapsed. It's imploded. It doesn't work. And so their answer is put in hundreds of billions or more and subsidize it. And if you can, get rid of these employer-subsidized health care programs that many of you have, including Democrats, including union members. They want to get rid of them. And they want to force you into this expanded Obamacare. And the Republicans said, no, we're not doing that. We're absolutely not doing that. We may have to start over. But now with the continuing resolution, it's not the time to do it. We got to fund the FAA, the military, the TSA. No, it's now. And not only that, they not only demanded a vote, they demanded the outcome. Go ahead.
But we have to have a strategy and a plan that we can deliver on.
Okay, thank you. They have no strategy. They have no plan. The complaint is neither do the Republicans, but the Republicans do. And they have for a very, very long time, decades. President Trump tapped into it when he said the money should go directly to the people. These are healthcare savings accounts, but if we're going to spend billions and billions of dollars, he's saying, why don't we subsidize individuals specifically rather than go through third parties? You know, Reagan did this when it came to education spending. He said, look, rather than having all this money go through these NGOs and these left-wing groups and preferred teachers union organization, let's block grant the money and give it to the states and they'll spend it their way. So if you can't get rid of it, let's at least do that. Well, that's the application to that sort of mindset when it comes to healthcare. Okay, why don't we help people by giving them some of their money back, and then they can pick their own, insurance coverage, their own premiums. I like that idea a lot. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
There's a reason I'm proud to say Pure Talk is my wireless company, because they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk, especially when it comes to supporting our veterans. This month, Pure Talk is choosing to support Canines for Warriors, an incredible organization that rescues and trains dogs, then pairs them with veterans struggling with PTSD. These are men and women who serve with honor, but when they come home, that brotherhood and support network they had in the military too often disappears. Canines for Warriors steps up to fill the gap, giving these heroes purpose, companionship, and healing. That's exactly why Pure Talk a veteran-led company, supports them. Choose a wireless company that shares your values. And with talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, you could also be saving a ton of money. Go to puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch today. Again, go to puretalk.com/LEVIN and switch to America's wireless company, my wireless company, Pure Talk. Welcome back, America. We're here with our friend Mike Lawler, who's running in a leans Democrat district. And Congressman Mike Lawler, let me ask you a question with this shutdown of the Democrats. You have Bernie Sanders. You have the vast majority of Democrats in the Senate and almost all but a handful in the House saying we've lost our leverage. Leverage to do what? To screw the American people even more? What do they keep using that word for?
It's really remarkable. This was always about, quote unquote, fighting back against Trump and showing their far left radical base that they were standing up for them. It was never about the American people. It was never about health care. It was always about politically trying to extract, demands to use their quote unquote leverage. Ultimately, they caved because they really didn't have a leg to stand on, Mark. I mean, the reality is they inflicted so much pain on the American people. I had so many people who were reliant on SNAP and WIC in my district, federal employees who haven't received a paycheck in over 4 weeks. It's really unconscionable what the Democrats did here to try and leverage House and Senate leadership and the White House, really with no plan. And that's why they're melting down right now, calling for Chuck Schumer to resign, which is truly come full circle for Chuck Schumer, and deservedly so. I mean, this was so ill-advised, so idiotic to shut the government down for over 40 days, and they really had no plan on how to get out of it.
And they had no plan because the Republicans aren't insane. They're going to just keep throwing hundreds of billions more at a program that is gobbling up taxpayer funds, that is driving up the premium cost, driving down the quality of care. 12 years ago, many of us were saying Obamacare can't work, and then they expanded Obamacare, and then they increased the benefits of Obamacare. It was already imploding. They don't really have a plan other than just to keep centralizing and expanding health care, correct?
Well, this is the fundamental problem with Obamacare. The only way it's quote-unquote affordable is if the federal government is subsidizing it. And when you look at the fight over the enhanced, ACA tax credit that was put in place during COVID, we're talking about whether or not the federal government is picking up 78% or 88%. That's the difference here. Now, in the short term, I've said I'm open to extending it by a year to buy us enough time to actually start fixing the fundamental problem. Just subsidizing it is not solving the issue of healthcare affordability in America. Nancy Pelosi famously said you got to pass it to find out what's in it. And after 15 years, what we have found out is that Obamacare has driven up the cost of healthcare. It is not affordable. And in fact, it has destroyed our healthcare system. I mean, you've seen consolidation that has not resulted in economies of scale. You have health insurance companies owning, primary care practices. It's a disaster. And I think there's a lot that we have to do to fix it. But, obviously we are concerned about affordability. We are concerned about cost, not just on healthcare, but housing and groceries, et cetera. And this is why, one of the first things we did was pass the Working Families Tax Cut Act, because we want to put more money back in the pockets of hardworking Americans. But we do have to tackle these issues long term when it comes to health care, housing, grocery costs, et cetera. These are all a result of the Democrats' disastrous policies. And that's something that, it's not going to be fixed overnight, but we have to tackle in this Congress.
Well, why is it, may I ask? We don't need to be theoretical about this. You look at Florida, costs are way down, housing prices are way down. It's affordable. And people are moving there in droves. And then you look at New York State, and particularly New York City, it is unaffordable. So doesn't this at least lend some substance to the point that maybe you need to cut government, cut spending, cut taxes, rely more on the private sector, encourage investment, encourage people to move into a city or into a state? Seems to be working in Florida, no?
No question. And it's part of the reason why we produced the largest tax cut in American history this year with the passage of the Working Families Tax Cut Act, as well as starting to bend the curve on federal spending, much to the dismay of Democrats here in Washington. When you look at New York is an absolute disaster. You know, Zohran Mamdani ran on, quote unquote, affordability. Who has controlled New York for the last 20 years? Yeah. Democrats have controlled the governorship since 2007 when Eliot Spitzer came into office. They've controlled the state legislature with supermajorities since 2019. They've controlled the New York City mayoralty since 2014 when Bill de Blasio came in and destroyed the city. They have complete control in New York, and their policies are what has created the affordability crisis in New York. They've increased state spending, Mark, in the last decade, get this, by $100 billion. They have a $254 billion budget, more than double the size of Florida's budget, despite having over 3 million less people living in their state. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
And what are you getting for it? I mean, it's just
not much.
Not much.
Not much. I mean, that's the sad part. And now we're about to enter a new phase with socialism in New York City, with Zohran Mamdani becoming mayor. And already Democrats, you know, the infighting is beginning because they know this is a disaster for them politically. They know having an avowed socialist in the financial capital of the world that's going to force out migration, that's going to force businesses and wealth to leave the state is a disaster. And so this problem is going to compound because the only people coming to New York are in large measure people who need the social safety net, and that's a problem.
If you can stay with us, I have a few more questions. Mike Lawler, if people want to help you, where do they go?
They go to lawlerforcongress.com, lawlerforcongress.com, or text Mike to 85007.
We'll be right back. There's a reason I'm proud to say Pure Talk is my wireless company, because they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk, especially when it comes to supporting our veterans. This month, Pure Talk is choosing to support Canines for Warriors, an incredible organization that rescues and trains dogs, then pairs them with veterans struggling with PTSD. These are men and women who serve with honor, but when they come home, their brotherhood and support network they had in the military too often disappears. Canines for Warriors steps up to fill the gap, giving these heroes purpose, companionship, and healing. That's exactly why Pure Talk, a veteran-led company, supports them. Choose a wireless company that shares your values, and with talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, you could also be saving a ton of money. Go to puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch today. Again, go to puretalk.com/LEVIN and switch to America's wireless company, my wireless company, Pure Talk.
Mike Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
Excuse me, we're here with Congressman Mike Lawler. Well, Mike Lawler, I am perplexed. That is, I'm no Chuck Schumer fan. I've been on his case for a quarter of a century. But I think the Democrat, it's not the base anymore. It's really the core of the Democrat Party on the radical left. I think they figure out we took New York City, now's our chance to take the Senate. Because when Bernie Sanders is leading the charge, my eyes are wide open. You know, people dismiss him as a nice old man. He's not a nice old man. He's a crackpot, and he's radical left, and he's part of this movement destroying the country. So my view is they view this as an opportunity, as they view everything as an opportunity to exploit and to try and get somebody in there who is who's more to their liking. What do you think?
Oh, 1,000%, Mark. I mean, the socialists are coming for, the quote unquote mainstream Democrats. They're all going to start getting taken out in primaries. I think Chuck Schumer is done. He will announce at some point that he's not running for re-election because he is petrified of losing a primary to AOC. And after 50 plus years in elected office, he doesn't want to go out like that. So he will announce at some point, probably right after the midterms, that he's not running for re-election. But Bernie Sanders and AOC are driving the ship. And both Jeffries and Schumer are just too weak and too incompetent to handle it. And that's why Democrats are in mass disarray right now. They're screaming at each other about, quote unquote, folding and not getting anything out of it. And it's a catastrophe. But to your point, this is the core of the Democratic Party now. And Zohran Mamdani, coupled with AOC and Bernie Sanders, they're going to be the face of the Democrats in the midterms. And they are driving the messaging, they are driving the policy choices, and they are driving the politics. And it's crumbling before our eyes as a result.
And there's an effort to devour the Republican Party and the conservative movement, too, by what I call the fascistic right. I'm a constitutional conservative, so I don't know what it means to be right-wing. I mean, I embrace the founding of the nation and the principles that come from it. And this movement has a lot in common with the Marxist Islamist left. They're constantly attacking our country. Now they're stabbing the president in the back. They embrace these nut job leaders all over the world. They trash our economic system. And they try and exploit people who are having difficulty, whether it's with housing or getting jobs and so forth and so on, to trash the entire American system. You see that?
For sure. And there is certainly people on the right who have a lot in common with people on the far left. And we've seen it in Congress where there'll be votes where these folks end up voting together. And you just shake your head in disbelief. Obviously we've seen some of the stuff with regards to Israel and people on the far right and people on the far left seemingly staking out the same crazy anti-Semitic position that really undermines our country, our values, and the basis of our Constitution. So there's no question that within our politics, there are times when the far right and those on the far left somehow align, and their viewpoints certainly undermine the very core of our country.
Remind everybody about your district. Is any part of your district in the city?
No, I'm just north of New York City. I've all of Rockland County, where I live, northern Westchester, where the Clintons and George Soros live. I have all of Putnam County and 3 towns in Dutchess County. So I run from the Jersey to Connecticut border and up the Hudson River just north of the Tappan Zee Bridge. But I have many, many constituents who work in New York City. 50% of households in my district have a cop, a firefighter, a veteran living in the household, a lot of NYPD, FDNY, 29,000 financial service sector employees. So a lot of the decisions that are made in New York City certainly impact my community. Obviously, the pro-criminal policies that, New York Democrats have supported over these past few years, cashless bail, Zohran Mamdani wants to shut down prisons, legalize prostitution. These things certainly have an impact on the quality of life, and it's a big part of the reason why New York leads the nation in out-migration. People have had it. They can't afford to live there, and they don't feel safe.
Mm-hmm. And your opponent, it's one of these kooks, isn't he?
Right now, I have 8 opponents. I have 8 Democrats running against me. My feeling is the more the merrier in their clown car primary. But this is going to be one of the most competitive races. Last year, it cost $42 million between both sides. This time around, I suspect it'll be about $60 million. It's one of only 3 seats held by a Republican that Kamala Harris won. So Hakeem Jeffries and House Democrats have a big bullseye on my back, and certainly we're going to need everybody's help to make sure we not only hold my seat, but keep the majority. So if folks want to support us, they should go to lawlerforcongress.com or text Mike to 85007.
Well, Mike Lawler, we wish you all the best. You have my full endorsement. Unless it hurts you, then I'll withdraw. That's up to you. But
no, I appreciate it, Mark, and it was great to see you and your beautiful wife, Julie, and in Vegas for the RJC.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. You're a good man. And God bless you, Mike. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
All right, brother. I've noticed a lot of these people we've been talking about on the fascistic right and their ilk and their surrogates, they've never done anything for the conservative movement, the Tea Party movement, the Convention of States movement. They've never been a positive, affirmative contributor to anything. To anything, ever. Just go down the list. Kelly, what has she done? Except get fired by multiple jobs. Seriously. Carlton. Or is it Carlson? Bouncing around from one media operation to the next. Fuentes, you know. Prepubescent Fuentes, he's still wetting himself. What the hell has he done? Nothing. Alex Jones. Well, we should ask the people of Connecticut about Alex Jones. But he's just an example. Hey, look, I just call balls and strikes, right, Mr. Producer? I'm just a referee. I'm just asking questions. Yes. By the way, did Megyn Kelly ever mention, I don't follow her, really. She said she loved me. Very weird. But she said I call her an anti-Semite. So are we still waiting to hear from her, Mr. Have you heard from her, Mr. Producer? Still waiting? Okay. If I did, I just want to know when and where. We'll play it. But I'm not aware that I did. She's many things. Some good, some really bad. But I don't remember calling her that. Nonetheless, apparently she wants to be called. Why else would you do that? She's just calling balls and strikes too, you know. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
There's a reason I'm proud to say Pure Talk is my wireless company. Because they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk, especially when it comes to supporting our veterans. This month, Pure Talk is choosing to support Canines for Warriors, an incredible organization that rescues and trains dogs, then pairs them with veterans struggling with PTSD. These are men and women who serve with honor, but when they come home, their brotherhood and support network they had in the military too often disappears. Canines for Warriors steps up to fill the gap, giving these heroes purpose, companionship, and healing. That's exactly why Pure Talk, a veteran-led company, supports them. Choose a wireless company that shares your values. And with talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, you could also be saving a ton of money. Go to puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch today. Again, go to puretalk.com/LEVIN and switch to America's wireless company, my wireless company, Pure Talk. Let's see. Let's go to Harry Enton. He is the chief, as you know, CNN data analyst over there. And he has some bad news for Chuck Schumer. The problem for Chuck Schumer is the Republicans hate him and the Democrats hate him. And the Democratic Socialists want to destroy him. Cut 9, go.
How are Democrats feeling overall about Schumer? We've seen a lot of comments from some House Democrats, but what about overall?
What about Democrats nationwide feeling about Chuck Schumer? I think the word of the day is terrible, 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 terrible. To quote another Charles Barkley when it comes to Chuck Schumer, look at this. Least popular Dem Senate leader ever. I looked at all of the polls going all the way back since 1985. The one who has the lowest rating among Democrats is in fact Chuck Schumer. Look at this. He's underwater with Democrats. His own party, he's underwater. He's at -4 points. That makes him the least popular guy for a Dem Senate leader going all the way back since the mid-1980s at least.
Do you have a sense of why?
Why? It's because Democrats, they want a fighter. That's why. Take a look here. Democrats, Dems in Congress do too little to oppose Trump. During the first term, it was just 46% in 2017. That's the percentage of Democrats who said that the Dems in Congress are doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at where we are now. 69%. That is an increase of, get this, 23 points. The super duper majority of Democrats believe that the Democrats in Congress are not doing enough to oppose Donald Trump. And that, of course, is a big, huge criticism of Chuck Schumer. And that is why he is underwater.
I knew you were going to do the dip. All right.
I always do the dip. I need my exercise in the morning.
There has been talks of a challenge to Schumer. What are you saying on that front? Who looks like they're in place to do it?
Okay, so, you see this opening slide here, and you see, of course, that Chuck Schumer is underwater with Democrats nationally. But, of course, the ultimate way to get Chuck Schumer out of office is to beat him in New York State. So how do New York State Democrats feel about Chuck Schumer? And take a look here. The net favorable among New York Democrats. Chuck Schumer is above water with the Democrats in his home state, but just by 16 points. Look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez running way ahead. If she decides to challenge Chuck Schumer and come 2028, she's got a real leg up on the competition. I dare say at this point she would be the favorite to beat him, which would be something that would just blow my mind, even just a few years ago, given that Chuck Schumer, of course, is a New York born and bred type of guy.
Yeah, those are incredible.
Look at that, 30 points ahead. My goodness gracious.
My goodness gracious. So, will New York become the sort of Moscow on the river? I still have some hopes for the state. I really do. I think there's enough people who won't put up with it. But AOC really is a moron, hard left, and she's been promoted by the media ever since she won a primary by a couple thousand votes in the Bronx. And they're promoting her ever since. She runs around like a cheerleader, a communist cheerleader. She's never really questioned. She does not do interviews where she will be pressed, ever. If so, which one was it? Tell me, which talk show will she go on? Has she ever been on Fox? Has she ever been confronted by a conservative? I mean, a media conservative. Not to my knowledge. If it is, it's rare. So she's never really been tested either. She's never really been tested. And I don't know what Schumer will do. Maybe he will bow out, as Congressman Lawler said. But if he doesn't, she will be in for a fight. Because Schumer raises tens and tens of millions. And let me tell you, he'll raise money from Democrats and unfortunately Republicans too. He is a brutal campaigner, and he won't just, if he decides to stay in, he won't just give it up. And he may decide that he doesn't want to stay. I don't know. It seems to me that Lawler may be right, and I'll tell you why. Because the time to fight her was years ago. And he has shown no leadership in fighting the left, even though the left, Marxists, they claim he has shown no leadership in fighting the Republic. I mean, he just shut down the government for 42 days, and they said that's not enough. The longest shutdown in American history. Not enough. Not enough. Because it'll never be enough for the Marxist Islamists until the whole system collapses. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, Power Hour, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. John Fetterman. You know, ladies and gentlemen, depending on who the Republicans nominate, I can support Fetterman. We'll see how that goes. lots of time left. But, of course, the Democrats are going to try and take him out. But we need Democrats like him. And I just find him to be quite impressive, particularly considering, he suffered the stroke and so forth and so on. And but here he is with the free press today, having something to say, which I think is quite profound. Cut 10, go.
My heart breaks for what the Jewish communities suffered, especially after 10/7. I've had the honor of meeting, members of the hostages, former people that were kept underground for 500 days. I mean, those are heroes. I've met with widows. Their husbands were lost in the Gaza war, and they have 8 children, raising 8 children by their own. That's a hero for all of it. So for me, it's heartbreaking. And that's been what's so difficult for me is like being devotion to Israel becoming increasingly incompatible with being a proud Democrat now too. And that's put me at odds. And the things that put me at odds have all converged at the same time. The Gaza war, the peace deal, and then we moved right into a shutdown. Like now Democrats might not be allowed to hold these views.
Mm-hmm. And the youth in the Republican Party, particularly among the right, are abandoning Israel too. And of course, the influencers and the podcasters, that's exactly what they want. And so what'll be left? Of course, they're having them abandon our country too. Abandon our country as well. They're in for that too. All right, so out in Berkeley, Turning Point USA is doing an event, and they come under attack. They come under vicious attack. Here's Amanda Hari, CBS News Bay Area yesterday reporter. Cut 11, go.
Yeah, things have been lively here. While that Turning Point USA event is still happening inside, protesters have been out here for hours. You can see them still here behind me. They have been chanting just a
They're
very,
not
very
protesters. They are violent thugs. That's what they are. Go ahead.
Out here. While things have been mostly peaceful, there have been some tense moments.
God.
Earlier this evening, there was a scuffle that broke out where 2 men started fighting. UC Berkeley police had to break up that interaction. Later, someone was throwing smoke bombs and a car backfired, leading some of the people who were protesting to run away.
All right, here's the lowdown. One of the great sites, Washington Free Beacon. We have UC Berkeley student radicals clash with police, attack conservatives outside TPUSA event honoring Charlie Kirk. Student groups including Students Organizing for Liberation, Jewish Voice for Peace, and Young Democratic Socialists of America. Sound familiar? Organized the unrest which left a Kirk supporter's face gushing with blood. University of California, Berkeley student radicals clashed with police and Turning Point USA supporters Monday night, leaving one conservative bloodied and resulting in multiple arrests. UC Berkeley currently looks like a war zone. An Antifa member just lit off a flare, resulting in TPUSA event attendees being rushed inside. A car then comes and starts backfiring, visibly scaring multiple attendees who feared they were hearing gunshots. Here's people, young people, going to a TPUSA event where free speech is front and center, debating openly, civilly, and they're under attack from the left. Registered student groups, including the UC Berkeley chapters of this Jewish Voice for Peace, this is a Soros operation, Young Democratic Socialists of America, as well as Students Organizing for Liberation, an unofficial student group, they organized the protest outside an auditorium where TPUSA was ending its nationwide college tour. The event honored founder Charlie Kirk. Obviously, he was assassinated, they point out. According to Fox News, SOL posted that Students Organized for Liberation. They posted a flyer to its Instagram story set to Bella Ciao, a song favored by resistant movements and revolutionary anti-capitalist partisans. And Kirk's killer, Tyler Robinson, etched the song title onto one of the bullets found in the suspect and his murder weapon. And the protesters, many clad in keffiyehs, that's the Palestinian, whatever they call it, medical masks and other face coverings, launched fireworks, smoke bombs, flares. They waved Palestinian flags and carried a banner that included red upside-down triangles, a symbol Hamas uses to mark its targets. I told you, it's the same people. They hate Israel, they hate the United States. It's that simple. Too bad the Neanderthals on the fascists don't quite get it. Then they talk about a fight breaking out. UC Berkeley spokesman Dan Mogoloff said the Berkeley Police Department arrested 2 people. Another 2 people were arrested by campus police. Christopher Joseph Benton, a 48-year-old unaffiliated with the university, and J. Eduardo Maitorin, 22, is either a current or former student. They were arrested on charges related to trespassing and resisting arrest. TPUSA officials attributed the unrest to Antifa thugs, no doubt. The students' groups put out statement Tuesday afternoon denying their affiliation with Antifa and boasted that they delayed the TPUS event by an hour and a half. And be damned, one of these bastards should be arrested and thrown in jail for attacking TPUSA. It's just unacceptable. The incident put UC Berkeley on the Trump administration's radar, with Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon saying her office would investigate. She said, "I see several issues of serious concern regarding campus and local security and Antifa's ability to operate with impunity in California," she posted on X. It was a violent group of people who were not there to just merely exercise their First Amendment rights, says college Republican president of Berkeley, Martin Berteo. 4 additional UC Berkeley students were also arrested on suspicion of felony vandalism shortly after midnight on Monday. Hours before the unrest, the group glued roughly 30 flyers promoting the protest to Sather Gate, a historic structure leading to the center of the college, tried hanging a 5-foot-tall carbon bug from it, writes the Daily Californian. They destroy, they attack, they assault, they hurt people. This is honestly what Bernie Sanders and AOC and Tlaib and Omar Mandami and all of the Marxist Islamists, this is what they've unleashed on our country. A debate. They don't want a debate. That's not what they want. They want to overthrow our country. That's what they want. And it really is disgusting and appalling, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. We have to speak out against this. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
We began the show thanking our vets, and I want to end the show, at least part of it, with some patriotic tunes on behalf of our military. thank you very much for what you've done for our country and what you continue to do. What do I mean by that? Well, your voices for patriotism, those of you who can, physically or mentally, you contribute to your community, as you always have. And we're very, very lucky to have you because, you know, in a country like ours, certainly in recent times, there hasn't been a draft. In the past, there certainly was. But in recent times, there wasn't. And people step up and they volunteer. And they feel it's their duty. They feel it's something they want to do, or it's in their family line. Whatever the reason. Because the vast majority of the American people do not do that, but these people do. And you deserve all the credit in the world, and that's what we try and do here. And we try and do it every night, as a matter of fact, not just on Veterans Day. And we will continue to do what I can here, we will here, on the platforms that I have to promote this country of ours. Let's go to Dan, Oak Lawn, Illinois, on the Mark Levin app. Go ahead, Dan, please.
How are you doing? First-time caller, Mark Levin, love the show. And what's going on? There's 43 elected Muslim officials across the country, and it's kind of getting really scary. They're getting into the school right now, and they're really teaching our kids Muslim values.
All right, thanks for your call. He was going to talk about Mondani, wasn't he? And caller one's been on way too much, Rich, so we can't. People play the system and they get through, and I love them, but we just can't do that. Let's try Jason, Washington, D.C., the great WMAL. Go right ahead.
Hey, Mark, this is Jason. I got to meet you in Virginia, you and your lovely wife at the
All right, I screwed up. Hang on, Jason. I didn't watch the clock carefully. Apologize for that. Don't hang up. We will go back with Jason right after the bottom of the hour, shortly thereafter. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin Show, the pool feed for the conservative media. Dive in now. 877-381-3811.
So we continue in honor of our vets. Here's one I love alike. Go ahead, Mr. Producer. Love a lot. Veterans Day was originally called Armistice Day and was changed in the 1950s to Veterans Day. In 1938, I think Armistice Day was the first of the what we call today Veterans Day. So that's a little bit of history there. I love history. All right, let's take a call or so here. I'm working on it. What's that? Oh, Jason, that's right. Washington, D.C., WMAL. Sorry, Jason. Go right ahead.
Hi, Mark. I had the pleasure of meeting you and your lovely wife, Julie, when you were in Virginia in August. You signed on copy for me. Appreciated it. I'm a special ed teacher in the D.C. area, and something that really bothered me at a recent
Did you come with your kids, by the way?
What's that?
Did you come with your kids?
No, I was by myself.
No. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but you told me good luck with that when I told you I was a conservative public school teacher.
Am I right?
Anyway, this at a staff meeting recently, a younger, very liberal colleague, she asked the principal why we allow artwork with pilgrim hats being depicted at Thanksgiving, claiming that it represents colonialism. And I was and I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've never seen a problem with it. And the principal, who's about my age too, just kind of looked kind of dumbfounded. And then he said, well, I'll have to look into that. I've never even thought of it that way. And I wanted to say, well, that's because there's nothing to think about.
It has nothing to do with colonialism.
Yeah. So, I want to say something to him in case he comes out with hey, we're not allowed to depict pilgrims when you're talking about Thanksgiving or having kids do artwork. So, I don't know. It was just kind of bothering me on my way home from work today. And so I thought I'd call in and see.
Well, it's very weird. And the principal should have enough guts, and most of them don't. Some do, but most don't, to educate the moron. Really? Colonialism? No, it doesn't have anything to do with colonialism in the sense of imperialism. There's colonists. They have colonies, yes, but it has nothing to do with conquering anybody or anything. Boy, no wonder we have people, young people, even Republicans, young people, who don't know what the hell's going on, because this is what goes on. All right, my friend, thank you for your call. I don't know, is Bill still there from Florence, Kentucky, the great WSKY?
I am here, yes, sir. Actually, the WSKY I'm listening to, that's in Florida, where I did live before I moved here. So Mandani, what he is proposing, legalizing prostitution. And I want to be sardonic with this, but just think of the job creations there, and also a new tourist attraction and a new form of tourism. And if he wants to take it a little further, he could go no tax on tricks. So this guy, if
you got them all figured out there. Yeah, but what's going to happen is girls are going to get caught into this. You're going to have sexual diseases. You're going to have abortions. You're going to have sex slavery. You're going to have, families who come to visit New York being hit up. You're going to have people who are beaten by the people pushing them out to do that. It's a horrendous thing. It's a horrendous way to treat women. It's grotesque, and that's what he's going to be promoting. Unlike Giuliani, who was cleaning up the streets, trying to prevent that sort of thing, so that the life in the city is bearable, if not better. And but look at this guy. Go ahead.
If he gets most of his proposals through there, the new Escape from New York City won't just be a screenplay; it'll be a reality show.
All right, thanks a lot. This guy's the Henny Youngman of conservative talk shows, I guess. I don't think any of this is funny. It's pissing me off, as a matter of fact. Not him, but what they're doing and what they want to do to the city. It's just, it's infuriating to me. And what's more infuriating also is it's spreading. Because the Democrat Party is not controlling the Democrat Party, and I'm not going to allow that to happen to the conservative movement. There's a handful of us anyway who are not going to allow it. We're going to fight it. And we don't need buffoons like Alex Jones and other morons to tell us what to think and so forth, and so on, given the poison and the vial they've spread over the years. Just pathetic. All right, let's see here. I never listened to that guy in my life. It's clips that people put out. Clips. I don't even know how people listen to that buffoon. I just don't. But go ahead. I don't care. Listen to whomever you wish. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
wanted to get to this story here. Bear with me. So the Millers, you've heard of Stephen Miller and his wife, Katie, and their children, they've had to leave their home. This is even from Axios. The Justice Department's push to investigate a progressive activist accused of doxing top Trump advisor Stephen Miller has been stymied by 2 judges and a Virginia prosecutor. These are state matters, see, according to court records and state and federal law enforcement sources. Now, that's a battle over free speech rights, they say, but no, it's not. You know, everything is not free speech when you're harassing people, when you're making them have to leave their home and so forth and so on. Well, this is happening to the Millers. I tell you, it's about enough of this this violence, this harassment that is going on. It's just horrendous. It seems to be one way for the most part, for sure. But nobody who serves the President of the United States should have to go through this. Nobody. Nobody. And yet they are. And by the way, Bernie Sanders is backing candidates. One of them has a Nazi supporting past up in Maine. And nobody holds this guy to account, this Bernie Sanders. He attracts the worst of the worst, doesn't he? And now, even though he has a Nazi, or did, SS insignia, he's a commie. And he's not the only one that Bernie Sanders has backed. You know, maybe we'll dig into this more tomorrow. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, men and women in Ukraine, men and women in Israel, and you, the American people. God bless each and every one of you, red-blooded Americans. Same place, same time tomorrow. See you then. God bless.